Female hip-hop has since found a new level of independence. Women around the world are able to embark on careers not once readily possible. With pioneers like Miss Lauryn Hill, female hip-hop is unstoppable. In today's mini docuseries, we will be revisiting the Miseducation about Lauryn Hill. We will talk about the album, the impact, some of the success, and the legal issues, and how one of the biggest artists in the world struggled to ever make another album. Welcome back to Black Tea. Lauryn Hill has always been seen as a natural performer, starting at the very early age of 13 and performing at Harlem's Apollo Theater. She actually had so much talent, and many saw that Lauryn Hill was definitely a star. Soon after this, she was able to meet artists such as Wyclef, where this is where the Fugees, her first initial group coming into the music industry, was actually formed. Also, during her early years, this is where Lauryn Hill actually tried out acting. Not only did she attend Columbia High School in Maplewood, but she also landed a reoccurring role on the television soap opera As the World Turned.
Love, you gave me peace of mind.
Soon after this, Lauryn Hill would also be featured part in the popular film Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, starring none other than Whoopi Goldberg. But instead of Lauryn focusing on her acting career and heading to Hollywood, in 1993, she enrolled at Columbia University, where she studied for a year before pursuing a performance career. During that same year, the Fugees released their first album, Blunted on Reality, which met with mixed reviews. 3 years later, the group released a hugely successful second project called The Score. This album, The Score, had so many hit singles, such as Killing Me Softly, which actually put Lauryn Hill's bold and soulful vocals on the Billboard Hot 100. This album sold 17 million copies, making the Fugees the highest selling rap group of all time, and garnered 2 Grammy Awards, Best Rap Album and Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group. Now, following the release in 1996, the Fugees contemplated on whether or not they wanted to work on an additional album. Unfortunately, that album did not happen, and this actually pushes us into 1998, which was the year of the release for Lauryn Hill's The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill's album not only established her as a major talent, but the album would go on to sell 12 million copies, making Lauryn Hill the first female rapper in history to have an album that is certified diamond. That did not stop the success. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill also won 5 Grammy Awards, 2 American Music Awards, a Billboard Award, a Soul Train Award, and also was the first female rap album to be put in the Hall of Fame. Lauryn Hill also did several interviews talking about what the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill actually meant, not only to her, but also what she tried to convey to the public.
And so I termed the phrase miseducation, not because it was a miseducation per se, but just because it was sort of contrary to what the world says is education. It was this education that came from life and experience, and not necessarily academic, all academic, but related to living.
After the release of the album and all of the awards that Lauryn Hill did get, she actually went on an extended hiatus. She became extremely close with brother Anthony, a spiritual advisor. This is what led her down a bad spiral. After she reconnected with this brother, out of nowhere, Lauryn Hill abruptly fired her management team and the people around her, but did return in 2002 with MTV Unplugged. During this time, she was recording 2-hour acoustic performances where it featured some of her old songs and new songs to come.
We're all trying to get to this next level without, as my brethren says, without the next level finding us. It's like life is peaks and valleys. And some people think some people explain that as good times, bad times, but I actually think it's learning or let's say, learning mastership, okay, or study mastership. Now, I went from the top of one mountain. I'd mastered something. And people appreciated it. But, you know, once you're on the top of that mountain, you have to go this way. But in hip-hop, everybody's like, I'm not moving. I'm the master. I'm great. I'm dope. I'm hot. I'm here. I've arrived. I'm not going anywhere. And that's what you stay stuck on top of one hill, one mountain, when, you know, God's intention is that we study and master a bunch of different things. And so here I am, descending this hill, and everybody's like, where you going? You know, we're supposed to be on the top of the hill. But it's exciting time. It's definitely exciting time for me because I'm at the foot of another hill. You know, this hill, you know, is different. You know, it's totally different. You have to navigate it different. But I get to learn. And then once you learn and you go through that, you on the top of another one.
During this time, the Fugees also reconnected to see if they could really finish that second album, but unfortunately, that did not get done. Now, even though the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was a genius album, and everyone thought that Lauryn was the sole creator, there was actually some drama. Now, when the first credits for the album did come out, it actually had Lauryn Hill listed as the sole creator with 2 other individuals. Unfortunately, 4 men did come out to sue Lauryn Hill and say, look, we contributed to your album. Not only did we contribute to this album, but we deserve credit. Now, Lauryn Hill did not go down without a fight. She even went against her label, Columbia, when they told her that she needed to settle. Lauryn Hill was not trying to settle, and it almost made people believe that she didn't want to give credit where credit was due. A label spokesperson also came out to explain what went down, and this is what they had to say. Lauryn was very concerned about credit. It was eluded her from the past in her success with the Fugees. She didn't want to just be a pretty face and a pretty voice. She wanted people to know that she is an artist. She also wanted people to know that she would go to no end to defend her art. Now, this lawsuit actually lands us into October of 2005, where Lauryn Hill performed 2 songs at the Take Back TV concert launching Al Gore's Current TV. In 2001, you guys know that she did record her MTV Unplugged 2.0. Now, this album did not do well, and it only sold a few copies. Several people actually came out to talk about how bad the album was and some of the things that they heard on the record. I'm crazy and deranged. I'm emotionally unstable, and I reject being a celebrity and the illusions that make it possible. I used to get dressed for y'all. I don't do that anymore. She said on this album, I used to be a performer, and I really don't consider myself a performer anymore. I had created this public persona, this public illusion, and it held me hostage. I couldn't be a real person because you're too afraid of what your public will say. At that point, I had to do some dying.
And so I learned very important lessons about people and their voids, and how when you have voids, you know, like a black hole just sucks, you know, and consumes everything into it, you know. And I met a lot of those people. You know, here I was, this ship, I just want to love, you know, and I met a lot of black holes, a lot of people with a lot of deep, painful voids, and, you know, who found it easy to take advantage and to manipulate and to deceive someone with me who just, you know, all I want to do is love.
So as you guys heard, you know, Lauryn Hill felt like she lost who she was as an individual. And she felt that she was putting on this persona to appease the public and to fall in line with the industry. But that actually made her extremely unhappy and led to a very unstable downfall for Lauryn Hill. After Lauryn Hill did come out to talk about some of her struggles, none of the drama stopped there. A lot of people that had worked on the second album with Lauryn Hill came out to talk talk about some of the weird things that she would ask for them if they wanted to assist with her new music. One of the artists said this: "A few people spoke of her flying in a gang of top flight musicians, putting them up in a nice hotel and paying for their time. But for more than a week, they sat around each day expecting to play, then getting a call saying, 'We'll start tomorrow.' Eventually, all of the collaborators left without ever getting into the studio." Now, while nobody is clear on what the real story was, I think it goes back to her being in a bad state. Lauryn Hill wasn't able to make music because she lost who Lauryn Hill was. And even though she was on a journey to find herself again, I think the constant push from the label just made it a lot worse because the timing was not right. Unfortunately, after this incident, there were several news articles coming out to say that Lauryn Hill's label, Columbia, had completely cut off her budget. Even though Columbia denied these allegations, we never really saw Lauryn Hill get back into the studio. Columbia was also under the impression that Lauryn Hill would be releasing a new album within that year. Unfortunately, that never happened. Columbia stopped talking about Lauryn, and any hopes for a new album fell off just like the conversation. And that actually leads us into January of this year, where Lauryn Hill finally came out to not only slam the claims that Columbia cut off her budget, but to say, "Look, my label has never reached out to ask me, what do you need? How can we get started? And allegedly, how can we make this album successful?"
Because I think that what I've consciously decided to do is be patient and wait for those instructions again, as opposed to the instructions from the record company. I can't, unfortunately, I can't fulfill their needs. I can't, because it's devoid of all feeling. You know what I mean? I have to make sure that what I create, I never want to condescend. There are a lot of people who condescend to the audience. They just think, oh, they like anything. Just throw a beat on it and put your voice on it. But if it doesn't move me, then I don't think it's worthy enough to put out there and move someone else. You know what I mean? Like it has to be something that is personally, is something that I need personally.
Now, Lauryn Hill did sit down with Rolling Stone for their 50 best albums, and this is what she said on why she has never released another album after the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. "The wild thing is, no one from my label has ever called me and asked me, 'Lauryn, how can we help you make another album?' Ever. Did I say ever? Ever." She goes on to say this: "The authenticity behind my artistry would be at stake going forward with a record label that combated my own creativity. People had included me in their own narratives of their successes as it pertained to my album. And if this is contradicted my experience, I was considered an enemy." Lauryn goes on to say this: "After the Miseducation, there were scores of tentacled obstructionists, politics, repressing agendas, unrealistic expectation, and saboteurs everywhere. I challenged the norm and introduced a new standard. I believe the Miseducation did that, and I believe I still do this. Myself and my album defy convention when the convention is questionable." So as you guys see, Lauryn Hill is basically saying that her album is not going to come out unless she has that creative control. But we have to look at the day and age. This day and age, labels control everything. They control your sound. They control who's in the studio with you. And oftentimes, if an artist decides to speak out about the label, they cut your budget allegedly. They also try to blackball you. And let's not talk about you trying to get your masters, because that's an uphill battle in itself. So where is Lauryn Hill now? Well, even though she's not out doing music, you guys know that she loves activism. Not only did she open a youth home, but she has actually been going around doing speeches, not only at high schools, but also colleges. Although this is positive, Lauryn Hill has also had some struggles. Back in 2013, she was convicted of tax evasion. Lauryn Hill allegedly withheld over $1 million in earnings, and she actually came out to talk about this in court, where she said, "I needed to be able difficult to earn so I could pay my taxes without compromising the health and welfare of my children. And I was being denied that. Now, even though that was something as we would call as rock bottom, Lauryn Hill did not let that stop her. And she continued to not only give back to her community, but to also strive to be a better mom. So after this interview, this is actually where the general public has been questioning, will Lauryn Hill ever come back? And I think the most historic part of all of this is the fact that even with one album, again, she is still the female rapper with the most influence over her generation. The miseducation of Lauryn Hill had a play between rebellion and governance. Power and despair was palpable as Hill brought the audience to the brink and backed us up, turning from Forgive Them Father to the upbeat nostalgia trip Every Ghetto, Every City. She was clearly trying to lighten the mood, but the sequence of songs suggested a promise betrayed. If we are still, as Every Ghetto has it, looking back, then clearly the better days that soul era revolutionaries and everyday people look forward to have not come to pass. Lauryn Hill said it herself. There is a tradition that keeps pushing, seeing black music as a guide to opportunity. As we watch Lauryn Hill now, and we watch if she will ever return to the music industry, I think there is a silver lining. Through everything that she has been through, she found herself again and regained any type of self that she felt that she lost. Could that mean that she would return to music? Maybe, but I do think that the miseducation of Lauryn Hill will continue to stand the test of time. And although we want to hear new music, let's be clear, the miseducation of Lauryn Hill is still being played. So let me know what you guys think about this small docuseries on Lauryn Hill. How do you feel about her talking about things that she went through in the industry? What are your thoughts on her saying, look, I wanted to come out with another album, but my label wanted too much control and they tried to sabotage me, allegedly. I look forward to reading your comments. Don't forget to subscribe, ping that bell notification so you never miss when I upload, and give this video a huge thumbs up so I can be exposed to more great subscribers like you. I love you guys to the moon and back. Don't forget to stream Seeing Green, and we'll talk down below. Bye, babes.
Moral dilemma, pride at the root, misguided from youth, heart divided from truth. Egyptians and Grecians, spiritually dead, empirically led by the good gods in their heads. Motives and thoughts, industrial wealth, global economy in it for self. Heart full of madness, covered with kind, pleasure designed to take over your mind. Furnished in godliness, painted in good, this tainted priesthood's got real saints misunderstood. While classes and government set up the veil and cultivate minds for more mythical tales. Typical Hollywood, follies, good girl, while vice and corruption take over the world. Motives and thoughts. Check your motives and thoughts.